The Elephant Man is coming.
999 Eyes is an authentic vaudevillian freak show. The 999 Eyes also has an American dime museum full of many amazing things, traditional American museum sideshow exhibits, and a whole history of the freak show instead of the sideshow. We have guided tours by real human oddities in our museum, and we have real human oddities performing on stage, working acts, freak acts, sometimes backgammon band, playing background music for all the acts. And we also have a variety of sideshow performers doing working acts available for our performances, such as Sword Swallower, Human Pincushion, Human Blockhead, Magicians, Jugglers, Unicyclists. We have many friends with many amazing skills. And what does the word freak mean, you know? A lot of people are very proud to be called a freak, even if they don't even have any tattoos or piercings. A lot of the people who are pierced and tattooed are very proud to be called freaks. But for us, we thought maybe there should be a distinction, because when you're born physically and obviously different from the majority of human existence, then people treat you differently. You know, your life is really different from when you're born. They may not necessarily want to be a freak either. So what we came up with for as far as the word freak is, in the context of our show, would be someone who has a medical anomaly, who wants to share the experience of their life in relationship with that, and to share it and to celebrate that on stage. And that is a freak, as opposed to if you have say someone who has ectrodactyly, or which is commonly known as lobster hands, lobster claw syndrome, like lobster boy, lobster girl. You see them walking down the streets, and they aren't lobster boy, lobster girl, they're Dick or Jane, right? But when they step up on stage and they're like showing you explicitly celebrating their genetic difference, then they are a freak. And so it's not a pejorative term at all, the way that we use it in our show. To be a freak is to be blessed by the gods. If you look further back past P.T. Barnum into history, you will see freaks depicted in temples, and you'll hear in mythology of how freaks are considered mighty, and to be blessed by the gods, and often chosen to be channels or oracles for the messages of the gods even. Some of our performers are hesitant and dealing with a lot of internal dialogue when they start performing with us, if they aren't already freaks. Like some people join our show and they're already freaks. They've already performed on stages all across the world, and then there's the Lobster Girl, who's the first freak to work with the 999 Eyes. Among the first, there was three. We had three freaks when we first started our first tour, but Lobster Girl was the first one that we met and recruited for the show. And for her, what I've seen is a big transformation, because when I first met her, I didn't even notice she had ectrodactyly. She was always, sticking her claw in her, pocket, stuff like that, and through working with us and exhibiting her hand for the first time, made her proud of who she was, proud that she was different, and I think there was one night where we're parading or walking down the street, and she pulls up her claw and holds it into the sky and says, Look at my claw! You see it! You see it! Look at it! Look at it! So that was pretty cool. And then we picked up Ken Pegleg, the modern-day Elephant Man, to join our show. And he had performed as a freak with some musical acts, like a rock and roll band or two, like a heavy metal band maybe, or a hardcore punk band. And he had the same character. And he had that in our show too, which his character was basically an axe-wielding murderer. And so he would have an axe or a chainsaw, and and he's got lumps and bumps all over his body, all over his face, his head, everywhere in his body. And he's got a peg leg. So a lot of people are put off by his appearance when they first see him. And he has a speech impediment, which can make it difficult for people to want to interact with him, in combination of how he looks. Because people don't have an open enough mind to actually just say, hi, how's it going? But through the course of our show, he was doing the axe-wielding murderer thing too. But we were thinking, we should probably work with Ken to develop more of a humanizing act that he can do. And our whole show was changing from the moment we had our first tour. So Samantha X and Lobster Girl, they went out and they bought him a suit. And they brought him a nice suit, a bowler hat. They said, Ken, we're going to change your act. Here's some nice clothes you'll wear. And he's looking at the suit and he's going, they're turning me into a yuppie. But he did after he changed his act, where he was more engaging with the audience, telling stories about his life and his experience with charm and humor. And I saw him he had a more dignified posture, and he was I could tell he was a little more proud of who he was. But what I do like to do is to kind of fight this idea of normal. What is normal? I'll tell you what, no one is normal. There is no one in the world who is normal. And anyone, the most normal person you can think of, deep inside their head, inside their soul, they're worried that they're weird, and they are. Because the whole idea of what is normal is just ridiculous. It's like whitewash. Who would want to be normal and whitewash your soul to the point where there's no distinction between you and anyone else, like a bunch of ants wandering around on the earth? It doesn't make any sense to me. And one of the things I think the show does for people who are weird, or people who consider themselves normal, or people who are physically different, it gives them an opportunity to consider that. To consider, normally, normal is put on a pedestal and it's elevated above everything. Everyone wants to be this imaginary normal. But here we're taking the atypical and putting it on a pedestal and being like, this is the shit, This is what you should be trying to be. You should be trying to be yourself, because that's the best thing you can do.
That museum will investigate lots of folk, each investigate all. On circus